Welcome to the Carriker Chronicles, the People's Show. Checking the pulse of Husker Nation, brought to you by X-Cancer. Check them out at xcancer.com. Now, a couple things right off the top, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to talk about the big, bad, ugly, smelly fat boys up front. I can say that because I used to go against them every day. The offensive line. Offense puts butts in the seats. Defense wins games. The trenches wins championships. But before I get to the O-line, a couple of things real quick. Number one, I am out of the Carriker Chronicles studios. Why? Because the banner behind me looked horrible. And we're going to get a new one. Number two, why am I looking so super fly, super cool, so super sweet today? And why am I so super humble? It's because I'm super blind and I'm very sensitive to light right now because I saw the eye doctor. He dilated my eyes, and without these, I can't see anything because anything's super bright. So bear with me while I wear these super awesome sunglasses. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to see jack squat. Now, let's talk about the offensive line. Okay, we're going to project, take a guess at what the starters might be, what the competitions are going to look like. And this offensive line is going to be interesting because you've got guys like Nadine Newilly who could play guard and center. You got guys like Kevin Williams who transferred in who could play guard and tackle. Same thing with Hunter Anthony who transferred from Oklahoma State, guard and tackle. I think Bryce Benhart, whose feet don't move very well right now, hopefully he gets better and better with that because he's a very, very young, talented guy. But my gosh, he looked like a statue last year in pass protection. I think maybe he goes to guard. But before we get into that, let's briefly look back and then we'll look forward, okay? Now, when you look at Pro Football Focus's grades for offensive line, college offensive lines a year ago, Nebraska's run game, the run blocking as a unit was very, very average. They rated anywhere from the high 50s to low 60s run blocking wise as a unit. So very, very average to maybe, if you want to be kind of smidge above average, sort of. Their pass blocking, the grades, not so much. Okay, they were not phenomenally phenomenal. That's putting it incredibly kindly. They were 126th, rated wise, pass blocking wise, graded out wise out of 130 FBS teams. Now, when you combine FBS and FCS teams together in college football, there's 295 of those teams. Nebraska's O-line graded out of 78.5, which equates to 202nd out of 295 FBS and FCS teams. No, okay. Obviously not very good. They allowed 159 pressures on the season a year ago. That's an average of over 13 pressures a game. And the Huskers' offensive line was responsible for 27 of Nebraska's 37 offensive penalties last year. All right. Cam Jurgens, as we know, was gone. He was our best offensive lineman. He was really the only offensive line with a mean, nasty streak. I think that's something we have got to see more of going forward. For the love of all that's holy, I didn't even care that he got a penalty in the Oklahoma game for excessive blocking. What is that, from the blind side? That's all it was. It was excessive blocking. I can live with a penalty like that, even though it was a terrible call, because I like the attitude. Also, we're losing Matt Sichterman, who started every game at right guard a season ago. In fact, Cam played at 792 snaps last year. Matt Sichterman played 787 snaps a year ago. Those were the two most amount of snaps played by any offensive lineman of the Huskers a year ago. So we're losing that experience and two of our five starters from last year. But who's returning? Okay, you got Nadine Newilly, who has starting experience. You got Turner Corcoran, Bryce Benhart, Teddy Prohaska, all with starting experience. Teddy started one game and then he unfortunately got hurt. Ethan Piper, Brant Banks, Brock Bando, Trent Hickson, Michael Lynn, Alex Don, Henry Latofska, and Ezra Miller. Okay, there's other guys in that room. All right, but for the sake of some sort of time here, I'm not going to list every single person, but I will say this, because sometimes guys get a little rear end hurt if I don't say their name. Hey, if you show on the field that you are going to earn it and you're going to hit somebody in the mouth, I have no problem saying your name. Earn it. All right, incoming guys. Kevin Williams. He is a transfer from UNC, 6'5", 330 pounds. I'm sorry I'm looking down a lot today. Normally I have things right below the camera, but I just don't see that far right now, okay, because of the sunglasses and the bright lights and all that good stuff that we have. So hopefully the show looks somewhat decent. So bear with me. I'm looking down a little bit more than normal today. Again, Kevin Williams, UNC transfer, 6'5", 330 pounds. Omaha North graduate coming out of high school, has starting experience at the FCS level at tackle and guard. All right, transfer. Another transfer, Hunter Anthony, coming in from Oklahoma State. This is a big dude. He's 6'6" or 6'7", depending on which site you're looking at. 325 pounds. He has experience at guard and tackle in the Big 12 Conference. He started at Oklahoma State at right tackle in the 2020 season before he unfortunately suffered a season-ending injury last year. He played in every single game in 2021. Did not start, but played in every single game for the Cowboys a season ago as well. Can't forget the young fella Justin Evans Jenkins, and also can't forget we got a new offensive. We have a new offensive line coach, Donovan Raiola, as well. Now, the first thing, in my opinion, we have to do is we got to figure out who's going to go where. How the piece of this puzzle gonna fit? We got to start with the center position. Cam Jurgens, him going to the NFL creates a gigantic hole. All right, who's going to play center? Because then I think the dominoes can kind of fall from there. The guys with the most amount of center experience in the past are, all right, Ethan Piper, Trent Hickson, and Nordine Newwilly as well. Now, the only guys that I really look at and I'm like, hey, these guys you got to earn the job. Nobody has a starting job at the moment. To me, you've got to start over, especially with the new O-line coach, especially how things went the season ago. But the guys you look at and you project that they're probably going to earn that starting job, all right, Teddy Prohaska, which is interesting. He was a true freshman a year ago. He only played one game, and he's coming back from a knee injury. When he did play against Northwestern, that's by far the best game the Husker offensive line played. Northwestern wasn't very good. But Teddy also had the highest grade of any Husker offensive lineman that game. So if he can come back healthy, I feel pretty good. He's got a good chance to earn that starting spot at left tackle. Good luck coming back from the injury, my man. But also, Nordine Newwilly is the other guy. The question is, do you leave him at left guard? Do you jack with something that did work a year ago, one of the few things on the O-line? Or do you move him to center where you got a big hole? That's the question with those two guys. But the other guys that are off the top of my mind, who have experience in the past, who have talent, some of them haven't played the best, but the guys at the moment, I think will be battling for these offensive starting positions on the offensive line. There's 9 names that come to mind. And again, if somebody else pops up, I got no problem mentioning their name, but you got to earn that right. The next guys that pop into my mind are Kevin Williams, Hunter Anthony, okay, Bryce Benhart, Turner Corcoran, guys with great size, highly recruited, didn't play well a year ago, but they are young. Hopefully, for the love of all that's holy, they get better. Also want to mention Ethan Piper, Brock Bando, Trent Hickson. Now, Brock Bando and Trent Hickson are the only seniors. We only have a couple upperclassmen on this entire offensive line. Everybody else is really young. Okay. Now, the one game we played really well in the offensive line a year ago, Teddy Prohaska was at left tackle, Nadine Newwilly was at left guard, Turner Corcoran was at right tackle. So maybe, hey, you say we start there and just figure out who the center and guard is. Because half the battle here is, are you going to put Kevin Williams at guard or tackle? Hunter Anthony, guard or tackle? Does Bryce Benhart go to guard? I think he would benefit from that. Okay, not saying he can't play tackle because he is big, tall, strong, athletic, although his feet did not move well a year ago. That's the perfect recipe for a good guard. Maybe move him back out later. Who knows? Okay, who's going to go well? Who's going to go where? You could say, hey, Prohaska left tackle, Newwilly left guard, Turner Corcoran right tackle. That worked really, really well against a not great Northwestern team. You just fill in. Possibly Trent Hickson or Ethan Piper, whoever earns a starting job at center. And then you would have Kevin Williams, Hunter Anthony, and Bryce Benhart, if you move him to guard because of his feet, until they get better, battling out at right guard. That's one way to do it, okay? I don't know to base everything off of one game. Just a thought I had. If you go based on who has the most experience, who has, if you watch the film of all these guys, who has looked the best run blocking, and when it comes to Benhart and Corcoran, and pass blocking overall, they haven't looked the best. But you look at them physically, how young they are, how talented they are, the guys that should be in the mix for this battle along the front trying to win these starting jobs. Here are the names that stick out to me at the moment. Okay? Prohaska, Newwilly, Kevin Williams, Turner Corcoran, Hunter Anthony, Bryce Benhart. Okay, those are the names that kind of stick out to me. And if you do a lineup of that nature, it's Prohaska left guard, Newwilly at center, and then probably, all right, Williams, Corcoran, Anthony, Benhart fighting it out for the 2 guards and right tackle spot. Scott Frost has said he's got to figure out who the best 5 are and then put them in their positions up front. I agree with that. However, we do have to have someone who can snap and block, as we found out with Cam. That's not as easy as Husker fans may have once thought. If you were to go with something like this, I'm not saying Trent Hickson or some of these other guys can't be in that group, just going based off what I've seen so far, keep in mind, we have not seen a snap of spring ball. We have not seen a snap of fall camp. We have limited information. Okay, this is what I know at this point in time. I have no problem changing my opinion based on anything I see at the future. But having a little fun and projecting based off what I see at this moment, if you went with those guys, pretty big offensive line, okay? An average height, depending on which of those guys you went with that I just mentioned in that group at this moment in time, you have an average height of just over 6'6", and an average weight of 318 pounds across your front. That's pretty big. Now, here's my projections. Here's my guesstimations at this point in time. And that's exactly what they are. Okay, at the center position, I think it's going to be a battle between Trent Hickson and Ethan Piper. Frost has mentioned there may be other offensive linemen that joined before fall camp. There's other guys on this team who have played center. Okay, but the three guys that have been brought up the most are Hickson, Piper, and Newilly. I think it's going to be a battle between Trent Hickson and Ethan Piper. I give the slight edge to the veteran. Okay, Piper has started in the past games. In the past, Trent Hickson is the senior, so I give him the slight edge. Okay, he is 320 pounds. I do like his size. I like his veteran experience. Okay, at left tackle, I'm going to tentatively slot in Teddy Prohaska. Again, he's got to come back from the injury. He's a young guy. He's got to earn it. Okay, and then at left guard, probably Nardine Newilly. I mean, he's the one guy you're like, yeah, he did well last year. We can probably put him back in as long as he earns it. All right, battling at right guard. Okay, I have that coming down to Kevin Williams and Bryce Benhart. Again, I think moving Benhart to guard would be a good move for him at this moment in time. Who knows what happens down the road? And then a right tackle could be a battle between Turner Corcoran and Hunter Anthony. All right, that's kind of how I see it at the moment, always subject to change. But keep in mind, like I mentioned, these are young guys. All right, I think we got to give them a fresh start this year, okay? Especially with the new O-line coach. All right, you only have a couple upperclassmen, like I mentioned. Those guys have very little starting experience, if any. And yes, they played terribly last year. But young guys get better, and let's see what the new offensive line coach can do. In fact, here's what Donovan Raiola, one of his quotes that I thought you fine folks at home might find interesting. Here's what he had to say, and I quote, "We're going to build them from the ground up. I think that's the most important thing. Everything matters. Right now, developing their strength, helping them to understand nutrition is for the whole athlete, and getting the fundamentals down," end quote. That sounds like the guy that I played with and practiced against every day in D.C. for the Washington Commanders. They took all that time, 2 football seasons, they went through the season known as the football team, and then all that market research, and a year and a half later, they come out with the Washington Commanders. I don't want to tell people I played for the Washington Commanders at one point in time. Anyways, I digress. I apologize. All right. Now, if you ask me, they got to start with a mean streak up front. I only saw from one guy last year, Cam Jurgens, and their feet. I mentioned those two things multiple times in this show. In fact, I've taken thousands of snaps versus offensive linemen. I know what they try to do against D linemen. I know what offensive line coaches tell them to do. Feet had hands, okay? If you want me to do a video at some point in the future, okay, I did reach out to Zach Taylor. Hopefully I can get an interview with him early next week. Want me to do a show on offensive line fundamentals and techniques, what they didn't do last year, what they could do better, and how they could significantly improve? Leave a comment and give this show a like, and I will do that. And I can also show you how we D linemen easily just whoop the O linemen because we're so much more athletic and humble. All right. Like I said, I reached out to Zach Taylor. I hesitated because I just interviewed him, but he's a good buddy. He said circle back on Monday. So look, hopefully for a Zach Taylor interview on Monday or Tuesday. Again, leave a comment, give this video a like if you think I can get that done. Check out last Monday's show if you missed it. I talk about how the Bengals, the transfer portal gives the Husker fans legit hope. Before you laugh, actually watch the show. Hint, core players. Look for shows every Monday and Thursday. Go Big Red to the buzz.